Hello again, whiskey friends. Thanks for joining, everybody. My name is Jeff, and we are going to be doing a blind review today. Our great friend Todd over at the Bourbon Road Podcast sent me a box of samples. He had no idea I was going to do with it a whole blind series, but I diligently blinded all those samples so that I could review them with you without any influence of the label or the color of the whiskey. As we walk through the blind review, I'll step you through our process. At the end, we will have a final score, and then together we can learn more about this brand. So thank you for joining today, whiskey friends. Let's kick off the show. All right. And for those keeping track at home, we are now in the 7th video of this series as we go through the original box that contained 12 samples. Thus far, all the samples have scored between an 84 and an 89, which has been a delightful experience for me. The lowest scoring whiskey of the group has been the E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof, whereas the highest scoring was a 10-year redemption high rye bourbon. So we are now going to go into this lovely box created by Top Dog Bourbon for the channel to help me with these blind reviews. And I'm probably going to continue to put more and more samples in this box and review them blind. This has been a lot of fun. And hopefully you're enjoying this too. And hey, hit that like and subscribe, leave a comment, leave a hype. That really helps the channel grow. And if you're interested in following more of Hello Again Whiskey Friends, there are links in the description to our Patreon and our private Facebook group, both of which you can join for free to get the latest news on all of our barrel picks and what's going on with the channel. And if you'd like to support the channel and like the things that we do, Patreon is there as well, and we really appreciate all of your support. But I'm going to open up the lid to the box here. And as I said, we've got 6 samples left. I noticed this one here is a little small guy. I've been debating whether to keep the 1 ounce sample until the very end. Heck, it actually might even be like a half ounce sample. But let's go top row here today. I'm going to pull this out, put it to the side so I cannot look at the label. And then I am going to try to find the label with my finger so that I can show it to you. Hopefully the camera does what it needs to do and zooms in so you get a preview of what we are going to be reviewing here, but I won't get to look at it. All right, so here we go with what we are drinking here today. So I'm going to zoom this around a little bit here, try to rotate it slowly. Hopefully the focus is doing its thing. But that is our pour here today. So now I'm going to take this sample bottle here. I'm going to open it and I'm going to diligently then put it into a black Glen. That way I don't even have the benefit of seeing the color. So we'll put it here, pour it in, and we are locked in, everybody. Sample is in the glass. I'm now going to put this sample in my pocket, and we are successfully blind. Now here on the channel, we do have a robust scoring system comprised of a flavor score, experience score, and a value score. Aggregate all of those metrics together, and you get the overall score of the whiskey, which then allows us to see how it compares to other whiskeys. As mentioned so far, everything in this tasting has scored between an 84 and an 89, which really puts it into this very good to even great level. As we go through the tasting experience, through the nose, front of the palate, mid palate, into the finish, I'll keep you apprised of the score and my thinking and tasting notes as we go, until we then get into the final score, the reveal, and then we can do some digging into this brand to learn a bit more about it together. So cheers, everybody. Let's start out with the nose, and thank you again to our good friend Todd. Man, initial impressions on the nose, dark and spicy. There is a whole lot of oak and just wood elements all over this nose, ranging from like charred oak all the way to like freshly cut wood. Lots of baking spices, even a little bit of cinnamon and chocolate powder, almost making a Mexican chocolate almost sensation for me here. Little bit of fruits are trying to shine through, more in this berry range, but they are having a hard time getting around those darker, heftier elements, particularly that oak. Gosh, what's interesting is as this gets to sit for a little bit too, there's a brighter element that I'm starting to grapple to that is surprising to me, almost like a lemon zest. And if not a lemon zest, getting into more of a lemon cake type of an element here. So there's a lot of different layers there to pick apart. Nothing blew me away yet, but everything is good on this nose. Gave it an 8 on flavor, gave it an 8 on complexity. All right, let's see what this thing does on the palate. Cheers, everybody. Whew, this one's taking me in all types of different directions on that first sip. Way brighter leaning and even fruit forward than I was expecting from that first impression on the nose. Getting that lemon citrusy sensation. So it does have that brighter, cleaner feel to it. But then there's some deeper berries and cherries also there. So the fruit range has some good depth to it and some different colors and different shades as we go through that. Mid palate continues to bring those fruits. And then as you get into the finish, there ends up being this nice, delightful honey note. All right, let's walk through the experience and start scoring this as we go. Again, gonna give this 8s on flavor and 8 on mouthfeel. So we're getting 8s across the board on the front palate here. Surprising element about this one is how it starts out. So bright, so refreshing, got this effervescent nature to it that really draws me in. The transition to mid palate, which is probably its shining moment, brings in the oak elements that we were talking about on the nose that are both equally bright and dark, as well as those darker, richer fruits. Again, giving it an 8 on the flavor and an 8 on complexity. And then as you get into the finish, it does start to bring in some honey, even some graham cracker like elements to it. Continuing on with the oak and all those different fruit flavors, even with the refreshing effervescence still playing through. I put the flavors at an 8 and the length of the finish on an 8 as well. So we're pretty much 8s across the board on all the metrics there. I'll bump it up on balance though. Like, this is lovely. I mean, there's no element to this that is off-putting whatsoever. It is just good across the board here. Add all those scores together and we're at an 84 out of 100. So very, very good bourbon. And overall, I think this is the 4th bourbon in this flight that has scored an 84 out of 100. Essentially just continuing to get those 8s across the board where it's just doing everything pretty solid all the way across. All right. Let's see what we were drinking on this one. I mean, I think it was a bourbon. I'm guessing it was, again, finished. I keep getting a lot of like double oaked notes out of this box. And it's kind of continuing to kind of mess with me a little bit, where it's like, at what point do you trust yourself when you keep getting the same flavors over and over again? But I think this one was double oaked, either toasted or double oaked, however you want to explain that. All right, let's get into the reveal. What were we getting into here? And it was the Brothers of the Leaf bourbon. Oh my gosh, I just reviewed these back to back on accident. That is hilarious because the entire time in my mind, I was thinking, man, this is like the exact same proof point as the Brothers of Leaf bourbon. And I totally just picked that out of there randomly. And I'm doing this in the same day, everybody, because you could sell from the same clothes. So I literally just reviewed a Brother of the Leaf American whiskey like 45 minutes ago here. And now we're getting into the bourbon here. So at least I got my talk track all worked out already. I know exactly where to go to show us these things. So let me share screen. I still even have the tab open from the prior video. This is hilarious to me. All right, so going to Google image here. You can see here I was looking up the American whiskey from the prior review, which I gave an 84. So scoring very consistently for this brand. Now this one is the black label, not the blue label. The blue label is an American whiskey that was a blend of bourbon and rye. This one is just a bourbon, and the bourbon is finished in French oak. Let's see if I can get another picture here to kind of show that a little more clean. Here, I'll make that a little bigger there. But yes, toasted French oak casks. Price on this one is going to be $79.99. And just in case you're joining me for this video and you didn't see the prior one, you can always go back and look at that review. But let's go back through the history of some of this brand here, just to make sure that anyone seeing this video without seeing the other one is getting the same information. So Brothers of the Leaf was created back in 2020 by Brian Gelfo. And as the name alludes to, Brothers of the Leaf, this would be about creating whiskeys that are good to have with cigars. What we just went through was a Kentucky bourbon that was finished in toasted French oak casks. The source of the bourbon is rumored to be Green River, about 5 to 6 years old. And the finishing process is rumored to be between 90 and 180 days. The whiskey that we just went through also won a gold medal at the recent World Whiskey Awards in the finished bourbon category. You can find it on a few online retailers. I can also find it local for me at the Party Source in Northern Kentucky. But just like I said about the American whiskey, this would be a great and inviting whiskey to bring to some type of family or friend event. Enjoy it with the cigar too. That's clearly its purpose. But I think it's going to be a crowd pleaser that everyone at the party would enjoy, especially given that it's at that more inviting 112 proof. Thank you again to Todd Ritter for putting together this sample case. And if you're still here, leave a comment. What do you think about Brothers of the Leaf? Have you had this before? Also hit that like, hit that hype. It helps the channel quite a bit. And just remember, while you can always find more whiskey, you can never have enough whiskey friends. So take care of those around you, and we'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for watching. Hello again, whiskey friends, everybody. A big shout out to our amazing Patreon community. If it wasn't for you, we couldn't continue to produce the content and barrel picks week after week. And for everybody else out there, be sure to hit that like and subscribe. It really helps the channel more than you know. And we'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye, everybody.